In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Alif, Lam, Mim, Ra. These are the verses of the book, and what has been revealed to you from your Lord is the truth, but most of the people do not believe.
Commentary. This surah is Makki, and it has a total of 43 verses. Mentioned in this surah too there are subjects, such as the truth and veracity of the Holy Qur'an, Tawhid, oneness of Allah, Risalah, prophethood, and answers to doubts raised about them. The first group of letters, Alif, Lam, Mim, Ra, are isolated letters, al-Huruf al-Muqatta, the meaning of which are known to Allah Ta'ala alone. The Ummah has not been informed of its meaning. It is not appropriate for the Muslim Ummah at large to indulge in investigations about them. The first verse says that the Holy Qur'an is divine word, and that it is true. The word al-Kitab, the book, means the Qur'an, and it is possible that the expression which follows it, that is, and what has been sent down to you from your Lord, might as well mean the Qur'an itself. But the connective, the wadaf, translated as and obviously requires that al-Kitab, the book, and what has been sent down to you, should be two separate things. In that case, al-Kitab, or the book, would signify the Qur'an, and what has been sent down to you would mean the revelation, wahi, other than that of the Qur'an, which has been sent down to the Holy Prophet, because it goes without saying that the revelation sent to the Holy Prophet is not restricted to the Qur'an alone. The Qur'an itself says, Surah An-Najm, Ayah 3, it means, whatever the Holy Prophet says, he does not say on his own, out of some desire of his. Instead, it is a message revealed to him from Allah Ta'ala. It proves that the orders given by the Holy Prophet other than those occurring in the Qur'an are also no other but those sent from Allah. The only difference between the two is that the Qur'an is recited matluwa, while the later is not gair matluwa. The rationale for this difference is that the meanings and the words of the Qur'an are both from Allah Ta'ala, while in the case of the rules of conduct, ahkam, given by the Holy Prophet in hadith, in addition to those in the Qur'an, their meanings too are, no doubt, revealed from Allah Ta'ala, but their words are not revealed from Him. Therefore they cannot be recited in Salah. Thus the verse comes to mean that the Qur'an and its injunctions sent down to the Holy Prophet are all true, and in them there is no room for doubt. But most people, due to their lack of concern and deliberation, do not come around to believe in them. That Allah Ta'ala exists, and that He is one has been emphasized in the second verse. The proof stands obvious. Look at what has been created and ponder over the matchless mastery with which everything was created. One can come to only one conclusion, that their Maker has absolute power over everything, and that He controls all creations and universes as the Master.
It is Allah who erected the heavens without pillars that you can see. Then He established Himself above the throne and made subject the sun and the moon, each running its course for a specified term. He arranges each matter. He details the signs that you may, of the meeting with your Lord, be certain.
It was said, Allah is the one who raised the heavens without pillars. You see them, on seeing the sky. It is generally said that the blue color we see up is the color of the sky. But physicists say that we see it so because of the intermingling of light and dark. Below, there is the light from the stars, and above, it is dark. As a result, the onlooker outside sees it as blue, similar to the reflection of light on deep water which appears blue. There are verses of the Qur'an where seeing the sky has been mentioned, as has been done in this very verse which says, you see them, and the words appearing in another verse, Surah Al-Ghashiyah, Ayah 18 are, and do you not see, towards the sky as to how it has been raised, Surah Al-Ghashiyah, Ayah 18. First of all, the scientific determination of physicists does not stand counter to it, because it is possible that the color of the sky might as well be bluish, or may have some other color, but it is cited as blue due to the admixture of the dark behind and the light in between. Moreover, the possibility that the color of the sky is a component of the atmosphere cannot be rejected as supported by valid proof. Then, it is also possible that places where seeing the sky has been mentioned in the Qur'an, the expression employed there may be legal and figurative, aiming to establish that the existence of the sky stands proved under decisive arguments, and is as good as seen. Ra al-Ma'ani, after that, it was said, then He positioned Himself on the throne. This mode of taking over the seat of power is beyond human comprehension. Understanding it is impossible. Here, it is sufficient to believe that this state of istiwa or positioning on the arsh or throne is something matching with the divine status as due, and that is what is meant here. In the next sentence, and subjugated the sun and the moon, each one running to an appointed time, The word translated as subjugated means that they both are constantly doing what they have been assigned to do. Thousands of years have gone by, but there never has been the least increase or decrease in their movement. Nor do they get tired, nor do they ever start doing something else contrary to what they have been programmed to do. As for their running to an appointed time, it could also mean that both of them are moving on to the same appointed time, which stands determined as the final term called Qiyamah, or doomsday, for this entire world of our experience. Once they reach that stage in time, this whole system of theirs will reach its end. And it could also mean that Allah Ta'ala has determined a particular speed and orbit for every planet. It always keeps moving on its orbit at the speed set for it. The moon completes its orbit in 1 month, and the sun does it in a year. Certainly mind-boggling is the very presence of these great planets. Then, no less astonishing is the phenomena of their flawless functioning. Here they are moving on a particular orbit, maintaining a particular speed, precisely and perfectly for thousands of years, in a state that their machinery faces no wear and tear or breakage, nor does it require any kind of greasing or servicing. Think of the revolutionary advancements of science and human technology in our day. Can any human invention around match this model? The truth is that it is impossible to locate even 1,000th part of it anywhere in the world, despite human ingenuity being at its highest pinnacle. This great system of nature is delivering a message, very loud and very clear. It is telling us that there certainly is some being who has made, moved and maintained this system, a being far beyond the reach of human perception and intelligence. In reality, it is Allah who makes things work for human beings while their role in it is nominal. After that comes the powerful statement, He manages all matters. If man, so pleased with the ways and means which help make things work for him, were to open his eyes, he would realize that his plans and measures could neither create nor make things in the real sense. The outcome of all his efforts and workings is no more than getting to learn how to make the best use of what has been created by Allah Ta'ala. Besides, even the system of harnessing what is universally available for use is outside the ambit of power exercised by human beings. The reason is that human beings depend on hundreds and thousands of others like him, and on animals, and on many other live and inert members of divine creation. These they cannot put on their jobs just by dint of their plans and efforts. This is the function of the divine power. It has linked up everything, as if in a chain, and in a way that everything gets to be drawn into the desired action. You need to build a house. You find a whole range of servers, from the architect to the builder and the finisher, hundreds of human beings offering their career and craft, all set to answer your call. You need building materials. They lie stacked in stores and shops ready to be delivered where you want them. Was it within your power and control to assemble all these things on your own just by the brute force of your money or measures, and on top of it, commission all those human beings into your service? Let us part with your individual example at this point. The fact is that this system cannot be established and activated through the force of law, even by the mightiest of the mighty government anywhere in the world. There is no doubt about the fact that the logistic support of this viably running universal system is the work of Allah Ta'ala alone, the ever-living, the self-sustaining sustainer of all, Al-Hayy, Al-Qayyum. If human beings still hasten to claim that all this comes from their plans and workings, there is not much that can be said about their claim, for ignorance shall remain what it is. The next sentence in the verse is, making the signs plain. It may mean the verses of the Qur'an which have been revealed by Allah Ta'ala in details, and then it was through the Holy Prophet that he elaborated and explained them. And the word al-ayat could also mean the signs of the most perfect power of Allah Ta'ala, which are spread out in the heavens and the earth, even in the very existence of human beings themselves. These are before human sight, all the time and everywhere, so many and so plain. Said in the last sentence of the verse was, so that you may be sure of meeting your Lord. This means that Allah Ta'ala has initiated and activated this whole universe and its astonishing system of operation, so that by pondering over it you may come to believe in and become certain of the hereafter, and the doomsday, Qiyamah. The reason is that once you have pondered over the creation of this universe and its wondrous system, any likelihood of doubting that it may be beyond the power of Allah Ta'ala to resurrect human beings in the hereafter simply cannot be entertained. And once we realize that it is within His power and possible, and that it has been reported by no less a person than the one about whom it is universally settled that he never said anything in his whole life which was not the truth, then there remains no room for doubt that this phenomena is real, actual, and proven.
And it is He who spread the earth and placed therein firmly set mountains and rivers, and from all of the fruits He made therein two mates. He causes the night to cover the day, Indeed, in that are signs for a people who give thought.
In the next verse, Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 3, it was said, "And he is the one who spread out the earth and made mountains and rivers therein." The expression, spread out the earth, is not contradictory of its being round, because each part of something very big and round appears to be, when looked at separately, nothing but a surface spread out in the core, and addresses common people in terms of their view of things. Since a common onlooker sees it as a spread-out surface, therefore it was identified as such. Then, to keep it balanced and make it full of other benefits, high and heavy mountains were placed on it. Besides providing weight and balance, these mountains store and supply water for the whole creation. To accomplish this, an unimaginably big storage of water is placed on their peaks in the form of a frozen sea. This snow has no reservoir and certainly needs no monolithic structures, overhead or underground, to hold the supply of water, and the water thus stored cannot go bad or made impure. Then, nature has its own pipelines under the ground through which water is distributed all over the world. Somewhere they show up in the form of rivers flowing freely along with their tributaries, and at other places, wells are dug to tap water from these hidden pipelines. In the next sentence of verse Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 3, it was said, "And of all the fruits, He created therein the pairs of two." It means that Allah has created fruits of many kinds from this earth, and made each one of two kinds, small and big, red, white, sweet, and sour. It is also possible that the meaning of zawjain, pairs, is not restricted to only two. Instead, it may be referring to several kinds, the least number of which is two, therefore it was termed as the pairs of two. And it is not so unlikely that pairs refers to the male and female, as we know about many trees which have males and females, for example, the date palm and the papaya. Possibility of this being the case with other trees as well does exist, though not yet proved by relevant research about all of them. The next sentence of the verse declares, "He makes the night cover the day." It means that He brings the night after the light of the day, as if something bright has been totally screened off from sight. The last sentence of the verse, translated as "surely," in that there are signs for a people who think, means that there is no doubt about the fact that many signs of the most perfect power of Allah Ta'ala are present all over for those who care to think about and deliberate in the arrangement and system of this whole universe.
And within the land are neighboring plots and gardens of grapevines and crops and palm trees, growing several from a root or otherwise, watered with one water, but we make some of them exceed others in quality of fruit. Indeed, in that are signs for a people who reason.
In the fourth verse it was said, "And in the earth there are tracts of land neighboring each other, and gardens of grapes, and farms and date palms, having twin or single trunks, watered with one water. And we make some better than others in taste. Surely, in that there are signs for a people who understand." Being pointed out here is that many tracts of land, despite being joined together, are different in their inherent properties. Some are good and soft, others are saline or hard. Some are good for farming, while others grow gardens of grapes and dates. Of the date palms, some grow to have two trunks like other trees, while others have only one. Then, all these fruits, though they come out of the same land, and are watered by the same water, and are touched by the rays of the sun, and the glow of the moon, and the draught of different winds in a uniform manner, yet there remains among them the difference of color and taste and size. Despite their being in such proximity with each other, the very difference among them is a strong and clear proof of the fact that this whole system of creation is operating under the command of someone who is wise and knows how to plan, manage, and run his creation. This has nothing to do with the postulates of the theory of evolution, as some ignorant people would like to believe. If these were the outcome of the stages of material development, how could we explain the element of difference among them despite all matter being common? One fruit grows on a tract of land in one season while another grows in the other. On one single branch of one tree, the fruits could be different in kinds, sizes, and tastes. Said in the last sentence of the verse Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 4 was, "Surely, in that there are signs for a people who understand." It means that there are in it, absolutely without doubt, many signs of the power and greatness of Allah Ta'ala, which go on to prove that He is one, and that He alone is worthy of worship. By saying that these signs are for a people who understand, the hint released is that those who do not think about these things are not the people of understanding, no matter how highly they are rated and advertised for their intellect and intelligence.
And if you are astonished, O Muhammad, then astonishing is their saying, "When we are dust, will we indeed be brought into a new creation?" Those are the ones who have disbelieved in their Lord, and those will have shackles upon their necks, and those are the companions of the fire. They will abide therein eternally.
Commentary. Contained in the first 3 verses cited above Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 5-7, there is a refutation of the doubts expressed by the disbelievers about prophethood. Along with it, added, there is a warning of punishment for deniers. The first of the 3 doubts they had was about people returning to life after having been dead, and according to them, the whole idea of accounting and retribution on the day of resurrection was improbable and irrational. On this basis, they used to belie the prophets and rejected their claim to prophethood. This doubt of theirs has been mentioned in the following verse of the Holy Qur'an, Surah Saba, ayah 7. Here, to ridicule the prophets, it has been said by the disbelievers, "Come, we shall introduce you to a man who tells you that you, once dead, shall be shredded into pieces, and the molecules of the earth you are made of shall also spread out all over the earth. Then, at that time, you shall be created anew." Surah Saba, ayah 7. The proof of rising again after death. The answer to this doubt of theirs has been given in the first of the present verses cited above by saying, here, the address is to the Holy Prophet. He is being told that he may be wondering about the attitude of the disbelievers who refuse to believe in him as a prophet of Allah despite having seen clear signs of his being a prophet. And strangely enough, at the same time, they go about believing in lifeless rocks which have neither sense nor consciousness, and who do not have the power to bring benefit to or loss on their own selves. Therefore, they could hardly be expected to grant any benefit to anyone. Certainly, far more surprising is their statement, is it that, once we are dead, we shall be created anew. The Holy Qur'an has not spelled out the reason for this wonder explicitly because, in the previous verses, by describing the wondrous manifestations of the most perfect power of Allah Ta'ala, it has been proved that He is the Master of absolute power. It is He who brought the entire creation from the state of non-being into the state of being. Then He endowed into the being of everything so many very elements of wisdom which human beings cannot even comprehend fully. From this it is obvious that the being who can make something come into existence for the first time from total nothingness shall hardly have any difficulty in making it come into existence once again. When human beings try to make something new, they do have to remove some difficulties the first time they do it. But when they wish to make the same thing again, things become easy. Thus, what is really surprising is that these disbelievers do seem to believe that the Creator has created the whole universe with limitless wisdom. How then can they consider its recreation as improbable and irrational? Perhaps the big problem before the deniers is what happens after death. After death, when dust returns to dust, whatever human beings are composed of gets spread out all over the earth. Winds carry them far and wide besides other causes. Agents and means helping human remains get dispersed universally. Then there will come that promised day of doom, the Qiyamah. Then they wonder, how could all that scattered dust be put together, and how, even if gathered together, can they be made to rise again, as they were? But what they fail to see is that the form in which they exist at that time holds the key to their problem with comprehension. Is it not that particles from all over the world lie gathered together in them while they exist? Particles brought by water and wind from the far and near corners of the world get mingled with human intake and become part of a person's body. Most of the time the poor soul is not even aware of the fact that the morsel of food going down his or her throat comes from God knows how many areas of the world, Africa, America, or the countries of the Asian continent. Is it not that there is only one such being who, through his wondrous wisdom and mastery of management, has made every single human being, an animal, stand to exist by assembling together scattered particles from all over the world? Now, if he can do that today, how can this become difficult for him tomorrow? Why would he not be capable of reassembling all those scattered particles back into the form they were? Especially so, when all powers of the world, the wind and water and the rest, are subservient to him and obey his command. If he elects to beckon the wind, the water, and the atmosphere to come forth and deposit all particles they contain, would they not but obey? Why would this be any problem, and why would its impossibility bother anyone? The truth of the matter is that the disbelievers had simply failed to recognize the power of Allah Ta'ala. They think of His power on the analogy of their own power, though everything in the heavens and the earth and in what lies in between them does possess a comprehension and consciousness of their relative status in the scheme of the divine arrangement of things, and they pointedly move under divine command. In short, what is a matter of surprise is the refusal of the disbelievers to believe in the truth of prophethood. And what is still more surprising is their refusal to believe in rising again on the day of judgment, and in having to stand to account for their deeds on that day. After that, mention has been made of the punishment of hostile deniers of the truth. It has been said that these people, not simply that they refuse to accept a prophet of Allah as such, rather what they do in reality is that they deny the very existence of their Lord. Their punishment will be that shackles will be placed round their necks, and they shall live in hell forever. The second doubt expressed by the deniers of the Holy Prophet was, if you are, in reality, a prophet and messenger of Allah, then the warnings of punishments you announce against the opponents of prophets should materialize. Why is it that this punishment would not come? The answer given appears in the next verse in the following words.
They impatiently urge you to bring about evil before good, while there has already occurred before them similar punishments to what they demand. And indeed your Lord is full of forgiveness for the people, despite their wrongdoing. And indeed, your Lord is severe in penalty.
And they ask for evil to come sooner than good, by saying, if you are a prophet, let us have your promised punishment now, which shows that they take the coming of the divine punishment as something very far removed or virtually impossible, although punishments have really come to pass against people earlier to them, which have been witnessed by others. Now, if the punishment is to come to them, why should it be taken as something far out or impossible? Here, the word al-mathulat is the plural form of mathula, and it means a punishment which puts a person in disgrace before everyone and proves to be a lesson for all others. After that it was said that there is no doubt that your Lord is, despite the sinning and disobeying of people, the Lord of forgiveness and mercy as well. And for people who do not take advantage of this forgiveness and mercy and elect to stick to their disobedience and contumacy, then, for them he is severe and punishing as well. Therefore, they should not misunderstand the attributes of Allah's forgiveness and mercy and reach the conclusion that punishment simply cannot come to them. The third doubt of the disbelievers was, as for the miracles of the Holy Prophet, they had seen many of them. But why would he not show the specific miracles demanded by them? This has been answered in the third verse, Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayat 7, by saying,
And those who disbelieved say, why has a sign not been sent down to him from his Lord? You are only a warner, and for every people is a guide.
That is, in order to raise an objection against the prophethood of Sayyidina Muhammad al-Mustafa, they say, why has the specific miracle they demand has not been shown by him? The answer is clear. The showing of a miracle is not within the control of a prophet or messenger. Instead, that is directly an act of God. It is He who elects to show a miracle, of whatever kind, at any time, and in His wisdom all is determined by Him alone. He is not restricted by or burdened with anyone's demand or desire. Therefore it was said, you are but a warner, that is, the Holy Prophet is there only to warn disbelievers against divine punishment. Showing miracles is not his mission. Said in the last sentence of the verse was, it means that there have been guides for every people among past communities. You are not the lone prophet. The standard mission of all prophets was to guide their people, warn them of the punishment of Allah. But none of them were given the power and control to show miracles. It is Allah who shows miracles of His choice whenever He chooses to do so. Is it necessary that a prophet appears among every people and in every country? The statement, and for every people there is a guide, proves that no people in no region can remain unvisited by those who call towards Allah Ta'ala and guide people to the straight path. It may be some prophet himself, or it could be someone propagating the call of his deputy, as it appears in Surah Yasin, where the initial sending of two persons as deputies to the prophet of the time to a certain people has been mentioned, sent to carry the call and give guidance. These two persons were prophets in their own right. Then, also mentioned, there is the sending of a third person to help and support them in their mission. Therefore, this verse does not make it necessary that some prophet or messenger of Allah has also appeared in India. However, it stands proof that learned people who carried the call of the prophet and told people about his teachings came to this part of the world as well. Then, it is already common knowledge that many such guides have also appeared here. Up to this point, in the first 3 verses cited above, there was the answer of the doubts expressed by the deniers of prophethood. In the 4th verse, Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayat 8, we see a return to the principal theme of Tawhid, the oneness of Allah, which started appearing since the beginning of the surah.
Allah knows what every female carries, and what the wombs lose prematurely or exceed, and everything with Him is by due measure.
Here, it was said, it means that Allah Ta'ala knows everything about what every woman carries in her womb, a boy or girl, beautiful or otherwise, good or evil, and about why wombs of women decrease or increase, that is, about the time of delivery, whether early, in due time, or late. Stated in this verse is a particular attribute of Allah Ta'ala, that He is the knower of the unseen, Alam al-Ghaib. He is aware of the minutest of this entire universe, and that of everything created in it, and He is most comprehensively informed of all changing conditions of each such particle. Mentioned along with it is the fact of all-inclusive and most perfect knowledge of every stage, every change, and every trait in the complex process of human procreation. For instance, it is He alone who has the ultimate knowledge, the most sound, the most certain of female pregnancy, a boy or girl, or both, or nothing but the accumulation of clusters of water or gas. Whatever opinion a physician gives in this matter is based on clinical indicators, and educated guess cannot be taken to be any more than strong likelihood or estimate. There are times when things turn out to be otherwise. Even X-rays and more modern imaging techniques fail to unravel the reality of this phenomena as due. We can only say that it's real, and certain knowledge can be credited only to Allah Ta'ala. This is what has been stated in another verse of the Quran, which says, "And He knows whatever there is in womb." Surah Luqman, Ayah 34. The word tagutu, decrease, is used in the sense of becoming less or dried up. In the present verse, set against the word test and increase, it becomes clear that, at this place, it means decrease. Thus, it means that the most correct and sound knowledge of what the wombs decrease or increase rests with none but Allah Ta'ala. This increase and decrease could be referring to the increase or decrease in the number of children to be born, that is, whether the womb contains only one child or has more than one. It is also possible that it may be denoting the increase or decrease in the period of actual delivery of the child, that is, in how many months, days, and hours this pregnancy will translate into the outward physical existence of a human being. This too is something the absolutely certain knowledge of which cannot be claimed by any one other than Allah Ta'ala. Tafsir authority Mujahid has said that the blood excreted by a woman in pregnancy becomes the cause of decrease in the size and health of the fetus. The Quranic expression, "the wombs decrease," means this decrease, and the truth of the matter is that the words of the verse cover decreases of all kinds, therefore no contradiction exists here. Said in the last sentence of verse, "and everything does measure with Him," it means that there can be no decrease or increase from the norm set with Allah Ta'ala. All states through which a child to be born passes are also included under this statement, that is, everything pertaining to such a child lies determined with Allah, who knows for how many days the child will stay in the womb, then for how long it will continue to live in the world, and how much of sustenance it will receive. This matchless knowledge of Allah Ta'ala is an open proof of His oneness, Ta.
He is knower of the unseen and the witnessed, the grand, the exalted.
Commentary. The theme of the exclusive attributes of the perfection of Allah Ta'ala continues. Starting earlier than the verses cited above, this theme is actually an array of proofs concerning the oneness of Allah. Onwards from the previous verse, Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 9, it was said in the first verse, "O hear, the knower of the hidden and the manifest, the great, the high." The word al-Ghaib, the hidden, the unseen, means that which is absent from the reach of human senses, that is, which cannot be seen with eyes, nor heard with ears, nor smelt with the nose, nor tasted with the tongue, nor sensed by touching with hands. As for ash-shahada, manifest, present, it stands in contrast to al-Ghaib, or the hidden, and denotes what can be found out by using human senses mentioned above. The verse means that it is the very exclusive attribute of Allah Ta'ala that He knows everything hidden, al-Ghaib, precisely as He knows the manifest, present, and existing. The word al-Kabir means the great, and al-Muta'al means the high above. The sense conveyed by these two words is that He is great and far above the attributes of what He has created. Though the disbelievers and polytheists did confess to the great and exalted state of the being of Allah Ta'ala in a general way, but were obviously misguided by lack of proper perception when they took Allah Ta'ala on the analogy of common human beings and went on to associate such attributes to Him as were far too removed from His great majesty. For instance, the Jews and the Christians attributed a son for Allah, while others suggested for Allah a body and its parts just like those of human beings, and still others tried to prove direction and orientation for Him. But the fact is that Allah is far above, absolutely pure and free of all such conditions and attributions. It should be kept in mind that, in order to emphasize His absolvement from all such human attributions, He He has repeatedly reminded us in the Quran, that is, Allah is pure and free from what these people attribute to Him. Surah Al-Mu'minun, Ayah 91, Surah As-Safat, Ayah 159. The perfection of the knowledge of Allah Ta'ala was described in the Nur of the Hidden and the Manifest, appearing in the first sentence, as well as in Allah knows what every woman carries. In the verse previous to it mentioned in the second sentence here, the Great, the High is the power and greatness of Allah, for His power and reaches far beyond any human calculation. Also in the verse which follows, the same perfection in knowledge and power has been pointed to in a particular manner. There it has been said,
It is the same to him concerning you, whether one conceals his speech or one publicizes it, and whether one is hidden by night or conspicuous among others by day.
Alike for him is he from among you who speaks quietly and he who speaks aloud, and he who hides in the night, and he who walks out in the day. The expression speaks quietly is a derivation from asrar, which means secret talk, and jar means open talk. When one talks to be heard by others, it is called jar, and what one says for his own hearing is called sir. The word mustakfin refers to one who hides, and sarib means one who walks his way freely. The verse means that, because of the all-encompassing knowledge of Allah Ta'ala, the one who talks quietly or secretly, and the one who talks loudly and openly are both equal in His sight. He hears and knows what they say identically and uniformly. Similarly, there is the person hiding in the darkness of the night, and there is another walking freely in open daylight. Both of them are alike in terms of His knowledge and power, since He knows all inward and outward conditions of both alike, and His power surrounds them both alike, and just no one is outside His power and control. An elaboration of this point appears in the next verse in the following words.
For each one are successive angels before and behind him who protect him by the decree of Allah. Indeed, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. And when Allah intends for a people ill, there is no repelling it, and there is not for them besides Him any patron.
For Him there are angels replacing each other, before Him and behind Him, who guard Him under the command of Allah. The word mu'akibat is the plural form of mu'akaba. A group which comes concurrently behind another group is called makiba or mutakaba. Hence, the translation replacing each other, the expression min bayni yadayhi literally means in between the two hands. It denotes the direction in front of a person, and wa min khalfihi means behind him. The particle min in the statement min amrila has been placed here to serve as the ba of causation. It has been used here in the sense of by amrila under the command of Allah. In some readings, Qur'at of the Quran, this word has also been reported as by amrila ra'almani. The verse means that for all human beings, whether one conceals what one says, or discloses it, or similarly, one wishes to hide one's movement under the dark cover of the night, or goes about walking freely and openly in broad daylight, there are groups of angels appointed from Allah who provide a security cordon for them from in front of them and from behind them. Their hours of service and duty keep changing, so they keep replacing each other one after the other. The assignment given to them under the command of Allah is that they should protect human beings. According to a hadith of the Sahih of Al-Bukhari, there are two groups of angels who have been appointed to guard human beings, one for the day and another for the night. These groups meet together during the prayers of Fajr and Asr. The night guards depart after the Salah of Fajr and the daytime guards take over. Then they leave after the Salah of Asr and the night guards resume their duty. As reported by Say, Inna Al-Murtada, may Allah be pleased with him, in a hadith of Abu Dawud, for every human being there are guardian angels appointed to protect him or her. It is their duty to keep guarding them lest a wall or something else falls over them, or they stumble into a ditch or cave, or some animal or man causes hurt or harm to them. However, when the will of Allah itself stands enforced against a person condemned to suffer from some hardship or calamity, the guarding angels move away from the sight. Ra'al-Madani, from a narration of Say Ibn Uthman al-Ghani, may Allah be pleased with him, as in a hadith of Ibn Jarir, we know that the duty of these guardian angels is not limited to protecting human beings from worldly discomforts and hardships only. Instead, they also try to dissuade them from sins and do their best to keep them safe. They would go on infusing in their hearts the urge to do good and fear Allah, so that, through these, they would stay away from sinning. Now, if they still fall into sin by becoming neglectful of the angelic inspiration, they nevertheless pray for him and try that the sinner would somehow hasten to repent, and become cleansed of the sin. After that, if the sinner fails to take any warning and refuses to correct himself, then they write down a sin in his book of deeds. In short, these guardian angels keep protecting human beings against the unwelcome happenings of both the present world and the world to come, all the time, awake or asleep. The well-known Tabi'i, Kat al-Abar, may Allah have mercy on him, says, should this protective divine cordon be removed from around human beings, the jinns would make their lives difficult. But all these protective arrangements work only until such time as the divine decree permits them to remain operative. Now, if Allah Ta'ala himself wills to let a servant of his suffer, this arrangement of protection stands dismissed. This has been elaborated in the next verse in the following manner: surely, Allah does not change what is in a people until they change what is in themselves. And when Allah intends evil for a people, there is no way to turn it back, and for them there is no patron other than him. It means that Allah Ta'ala does not change the state of peace and security enjoyed by a people into a state of distress and instability until such time that those people themselves change their deeds and ways into evil and disorder. And when a whole people change to commit themselves and their surrounding conditions into rank contumacy and disobedience, then Allah Ta'ala too changes his way with them. And it is obvious that, should Allah Ta'ala himself intend evil and punishment for anyone, then there is no way that could be averted, and there is no one who can rise to help them out against the divine decree. The outcome is that human beings remain actively protected by angels under the command of Allah Ta'ala. But should a people become ungrateful for his blessings and forsake being obedient to him only to take to evil doings and become contumacious in the end, then the posse of protection posted by Allah Ta'ala is called off duty. At that time, the wrath and punishment of Allah Ta'ala descends upon them, and there remains no way they could escape from these. This explanation tells us that the change referred to in the cited verse means, when a people abandon gratitude and obedience and settle for a change to worse around them, then Allah Ta'ala too brings about a change in his way of mercy and protection. According to a common explanation of this verse, no positive revolution appears among a people unless they themselves do not correct conditions around them to bring about that positive revolution. There is a very popular Urdu couplet by poet Haf which carries this very sense to this day. God has never changed the condition of a people who have no plan of changing their condition themselves. What has been said here is, no doubt, correct to a certain extent. But this is not the sense of the verse cited here. And its being correct too has to be viewed in terms of a general principle, that is, for a person who has no intention of correcting himself, there is no promise of help and support from Allah Ta'ala. Instead, this promise is valid under the condition that someone would himself think and do something about it, as we learn from the noble verse. That is, those who strive in us, them we do lead to our path. Surah Al-Ankabut, ayah 69, which tells us that the pathways of guidance from Allah Ta'ala too open up only when the urge to have such guidance is present there. But divine blessings are not bound by this restriction. They would at times come even without it. Take our own existence and its countless blessings. These are not the outcome of our effort, nor had we ever prayed that we be given such a presence with eyes, nose, ears, and rest of the most perfect body. These are wonderful blessings, and we have them without having to ask for them. However, the right to deserve blessings and to become worthy recipients of the fruits of the divine promise cannot be received without making one's own effort to earn it. And should a people keep waiting for divine rewards without putting in the due effort and deed, it would amount to nothing but self-deception.
It is he who shows you lightning, causing fear and aspiration, and generates the heavy clouds.
After that, it was said in verse Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 12. It means that it is Allah Ta'ala who makes you see the lightning and the thunder, which can become a matter of fear for human beings lest it may destroy what it strikes. Then it has a dimension of hope too by raising expectations that rains may follow the thunder, rains which support animal and human lives. And then, he is the one who lifts heavy and huge clouds up from the surface of the sea as the monsoons and carries these water-laden clouds haste through the atmosphere to places near and far off, and has them deliver their rains over lands he chooses in accordance with his decree and corresponding to the measure determined by him.
And the thunder exalts Allah with praise of him, and the angels as well from fear of him, and he sends thunderbolts and strikes therewith whom he wills, while they dispute about Allah, and he is severe in assault.
In the next verse, Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 13, it was said, and the thunder proclaims his purity with his praise, and so do the angels out of his awe. In Arabic usage, the word Ar-Ra'd refers to the sound of the clouds generated by their collision. The sense of tasbih, the glorification of Allah, mentioned here, is that of the same tasbih about which it has been said in another verse of the Qur'an, and there is nothing in the heavens and the earth which does not glorify Allah, but they do not understand their glorification. Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 44. And it appears in some narrations of hadith that Ar-Ra'd is the name of the angel appointed to bring rains. In terms of this sense, the reciting of tasbih is obvious. Said in the next sentence is, and he sends the thunderbolts and strikes with it whom he wills. The word as-sawadik is the plural form of as-sa'ikil, which is the name of the thunderbolt that strikes the earth. The sense of the verse is that it is Allah who sends these thunderbolts down upon the earth, and with these he strikes whom he wills. The last sentence of this verse is, they are quarreling about Allah, and he is stern in his plan. The word al-mekal, with kasra on the initial letter min, has been used here in the triple sense of stratagem and plan, and retribution and punishment, and in the sense of power as well. The verse means that it is in the background of what has been stated above, that these people are busy with debates and altercations about the truth of Allah's oneness, despite the fact that Allah Ta'ala has the ultimate power, whose plan overtakes all and nothing works against it.
To him alone is the supplication of truth, and those they call upon besides him do not respond to them with a thing, except as one who stretches his hands toward water from afar, calling it to reach his mouth, but it will not reach it thus. And the supplication of the disbelievers is not but in error.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 13, for the Tafsir.
And to Allah prostrates whoever is within the heavens and the earth, willingly or by compulsion, and their shadows as well in the mornings and the afternoons.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 13, for the Tafsir.
Say, who is Lord of the heavens and earth? Say, Allah. Say, have you then taken besides him allies, not possessing even for themselves any benefit or any harm? Say, is the blind equivalent to the seeing, or is darkness equivalent to light? Or have they attributed to Allah partners who created like his creation, so that the creation of each seemed similar to them? Say, Allah is the creator of all things, and he is the one, the prevailing.
Commentary. The outcome of both parables is that foam does appear prominent for a while on the real thing, but it finally gets to be thrown away and the real thing remains. Similar is the case of a false. Though the false may, for a short while, appear to have overcome the true, but the false is finally subdued and eliminated, and that which is true remains and stands manifestly proven. Tafsir al-Jalalain.
He sends down from the sky rain, and valleys flow according to their capacity, and the torrent carries a rising foam, and from that ore which they heat in the fire, desiring adornments and utensils, is a foam like it. Thus Allah presents the example of truth and falsehood. As for the foam, it vanishes, being cast off, but as for that which benefits the people, it remains on the earth. Thus does Allah present examples.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 16, for the Tafsir.
For those who have responded to their Lord is the best reward, but those who did not respond to him, if they had all that is in the earth entirely and the like of it with it, they would attempt to ransom themselves thereby. Those will have the worst account, and their refuge is hell, and wretched is the resting place.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 16, for the Tafsir.
Then is he who knows that what has been revealed to you from your Lord is the truth, like one who is blind? They will only be reminded who are a people of understanding.
Commentary. Truth and falsehood were explained through parables in verses appearing previous to those cited above. Now, in the present verses, there is a description of the distinguishing marks and attributes of the people of truth and the people of falsehood, along with the description of their good and bad deeds, and their reward and punishment. The first verse, Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 18, carries a description of the good return reserved for those who obey divine injunctions and act in accordance with them, and conversely, of the severe punishment for those who disobey them and act negatively. In the second verse, Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 19, the two groups have been identified as the sighted and the blind through a parable, and at the end it was said, that is, only the people of understanding respond to the advice. It means what has been exemplified here is, though fairly clear and obvious, yet it can only be understood and appreciated by those who have their essential reason intact with them. Those who have their faculty of reason all impaired by heedlessness and disobedience cannot understand a difference so great. From the third verse Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 20 begins a description of particular deeds and marks which distinguish the two groups. Taken up first are the attributes of those who believe in and obey divine injunctions. The initial attribute mentioned is
those who fulfill the covenant of Allah and do not break the contract.
Those who fulfill their pledge with Allah. It covers all promises and pledges taken by Allah Ta'ala from His servants, the very first of which was the divine covenant taken in eternity before an assembly of all spirits, that is, "Am I not your Lord?" In answer to which, everyone had unanimously said, "Yes, why not? Surely you are our Lord." Similarly, the different pledges taken by Allah Ta'ala regarding the obedience of divine injunctions, fulfillment of assigned duties, abstinence from things impermissible as ordered by Allah have been mentioned in different verses of the Qur'an. The second attribute mentioned here is, and they do not break the covenant. It includes all covenants, including pledges between Allah and His servants, which have been pointed out right here in the first sentence as their pledges with Allah. Also included here are the pledges given by the people of a religious community to their prophet or messenger, as well as the contracts and pacts which one human being enters into with the other. Based on a narration by Sayyid ibn Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, Abu Dawud has reported that the Holy Prophet took a pledge, Ad and Bay'ah, from the noble Sahaba, that they would not associate anyone with Allah, and perform Salah punctually 5 times every day, and obey their authorities, and would never stretch their hands for anything before any human being. People who were parties to this solemn pledge were so true to their word of honor that, should they happen to drop their whip from their hand while riding, they would never ask anyone to pick up and hand over that whip to them. Instead of that, they would get down from their mount and pick it up themselves. That the noble Sahaba did so was the result of the great feeling of love and the passionate desire to obey their master in their hearts. Otherwise, it was fairly obvious that he had never intended to stop them from making a request of this nature. This is very much like what happened when Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, was entering the masjid on a certain occasion. He saw that the Holy Prophet was addressing a gathering. It was only by chance that, at the time he was entering the masjid, the words, "Sit down," happened to have been uttered by the Holy Prophet as part of his address. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, knew that this never meant that anyone, no matter where, should sit down on the street, passageway, or a spot not suitable for the purpose. But such was his passion for obedience that it did not allow him to take even one step forward from outside the masjid gate where he was. Just as these words of his master struck his ears, he sat down right there.
And those who join that which Allah has ordered to be joined, and fear their Lord, and are afraid of the evil of their account.
The third attribute of the obedient servants of Allah Ta'ala stated here is, and those who maintain the relations Allah has commanded to be maintained. According to the well-known explanation of this verse, it means that these people maintain relationships and keep doing what needs to be done in this matter as commanded by Allah Ta'ala. Some commentators have explained it by saying that these people can join righteous deeds with faith, or synchronize their initial faith in the Holy Prophet and the Qur'an with faith in past prophets and their books. The fourth attribute has been identified as, and fear their Lord. The use of the word khusya, rather than khawf, indicates that their fear of Allah is not the kind of fear one naturally has when facing some beast or dangerous man. Instead of that, this fear is like the habitual fear children have of their parents and students of their teacher, for that is no fear of being harmed or hurt by them. Instead, such fear is grounded in love and esteem, because of which one apprehends lest something said or done may become displeasing and repugnant in the sight of Allah Ta'ala. Therefore, whenever the fear of Allah finds mention in an occasion of praise and glorification, generally the word used there is khusya, because khusya is the name of the fear which emerges out of love and esteem. Therefore, in the next sentence, where the fear of strict reckoning has been mentioned, the word used is not khusya. Instead, the word used there is fear as such. It was said, and they are frightful of evil reckoning. Evil reckoning denotes reckoning which is strict and minute. Sayyid Aisha, may Allah be pleased with him, has said, "It is divine mercy alone which can bring salvation for human beings when things are foregone and forgiven summarily at the time the reckoning of deeds takes place. Otherwise, anyone who is made to account for everything said and done cannot escape from punishment. It is virtually impossible, because who is there to claim that he or she has never made a mistake or committed a sin? So, this fear of having to face strict reckoning of deeds is the fifth attribute of righteous and obedient people.
And those who are patient, seeking the countenance of their Lord, and establish prayer, and spend from what we have provided for them secretly and publicly, and prevent evil with good, those will have the good consequence of this home.
The sixth attribute has been stated as, and those who observe patience in order to seek the pleasure of their Lord. The meaning of sabr in the Arabic language is fairly general as compared with the sense which has become popular in the Urdu language, in which this commentary was originally written. There it means to be patient under distress. Regretfully, the common counterpart, patience, used for sabr in English is also not free of its limitations and does not carry the full and rich sense of the original Arabic. The reason is that the real meaning of sabr is that one does not become upset under the stress of what is temperamentally unpalatable, and in fact keeps doing what must be done resolutely and steadfastly. Therefore, it is divided into two kinds. One of them is perseverance with obedience, that is, being steadfast while observing and implementing the injunctions of Allah Ta'ala. The other kind is perseverance against disobedience and sin, that is, being steadfast in refraining from and staying safe against sins. The restriction of, in order to seek the pleasure of their Lord, tells us that sabr or patience, in its general sense, is no matter of merit by itself, because there comes a time when even the most impatient person somehow gets to become reconciled with his or her lot after all. So, sabr or patience, which is not willful, has no worth or merit, nor does Allah Ta'ala ever obligate anyone with something which is beyond his control. Therefore, in Hadith, the Holy Prophet has said, that is, the real and trustworthy sabr is none but the one which is taken to immediately at the initial stage of shock. Otherwise, later on, sooner or later, one is left with no choice but to become reconciled and patient. As against this, the sabr which is worthy of all praise is the sabr under which one elects, by choice, to tolerate and be patient about what is contrary to his or her liking, whether it is the fulfillment of what one is obligated with, or it is the abstinence from what is unlawful or reprehensible. Therefore, if someone entered the house of somebody else with the intention of theft, but did not find the opportunity to do so, thus, having been left with no other choice but to observe patience, he returned back. Now, this sabr or patience, non-voluntary as it is no act deserving praise or reward. It brings thawab or reward only when one abstains from sin because of the fear of Allah and the desire to seek His pleasure. The seventh attribute is establish salah. The Quranic expression for establish salah means to perform salah with all its attending conditions and rules of etiquette and the essential humbleness of heart. It is not just the saying of prayers as a matter of routine. Therefore, speaking generally, the command to perform, offer, or make prayers appearing in the Holy Quran has been given with the specific word iqama, usually rendered as establish in English, though still wanting. The eighth attribute is, and spend from what we have given to them secretly and openly. The hint given here is that the amount of zakah prescribed by Allah Ta'ala is not something He is asking of you. In fact, what He is asking for is a certain portion of what He has given to you, and that too is limited to the insignificant measure of 10%. Naturally, giving this much should naturally be no cause of reluctance for you. The adverb of, secretly and openly, with the command to spend wealth in the way of Allah tells us that concealment is not always the only sound method in charities. Instead, on occasions, doing it openly is also correct and sound. Therefore, religious scholars have said that the giving of obligatory zakah and charities openly is better and more merit-worthy. Doing it secretly is not appropriate so that other people could be persuaded and prompted to do the same. However, the giving of voluntary charities, sadaqat, secretly is certainly better and more merit-worthy. A hadith in which giving secretly has been commended are concerned with such optional and voluntary charities. The ninth attribute stated here is, and repel evil with good. The sense is that these people repel evil with good, enmity with friendship, and injustice with forgiveness, and do not retaliate by doing what is evil in return for evil done. Some commentators have explained the meaning by saying that these people repel sin by acting righteously, that is, if some sin gets to be committed by them, they follow it up by repentance, obedience, and worship so punctually and abundantly that the past sin is obliterated. According to Hadith, the Holy Prophet advised, say, Inna Mu'ad, may Allah be pleased with him, if, after evil, you do good, it will obliterate evil. It means that should a person reflect, feel ashamed of having committed a sin, repent, and make amends by following it up with a good deed, then this good deed will wash off his or her past sin. Just going ahead and doing something good without first having felt ashamed and having repented after the commitment of sin is not sufficient for the forgiveness of that sin. After having recounted these 9 attributes of the obedient servants of Allah Ta'ala, the reward promised for them is those are the ones for whom there is the ultimate abode. The word ad-dar, abode, home, refers to the abode of the hereafter or hereafter, that it, the prosperity and success of the hereafter is for them. Some commentators have said that abode at this place means the abode of the mortal world, the sense of which is that good people, though they have to face hardships too in this mortal world, but finally they are the ones who succeed in this mortal world as well.
Gardens of perpetual residence. They will enter them with whoever were righteous among their fathers, their spouses, and their descendants. And the angels will enter upon them from every gate, saying,
Onwards from this point there comes the description of the same ultimate abode, when it is said that these shall be eternal gardens they shall enter. The word adnan means to abide, settle down permanently. The sense is that no one shall ever be expelled from these gardens. Instead, they shall be there eternally. Some commentators have said that Adnan is the name of the midmost of the paradise, which is also the most superior of its many stations. After that, mention there is yet another reward for these people, and this reward shall not remain restricted to those people in person. In fact, even their fathers, wives and children shall get their share in it, subject to the condition that they be good in deeds, the lowest degree of which is that they be Muslims. It means that the personal conduct of their fathers and wives was, though not good enough to have enabled them to arrive at this level of success, yet it would be because of the consideration and barakah of the accepted servants of Allah that they too shall be admitted to that high station.
Peace be upon you for what you have patiently endured, and excellent is the final home.
After that, the text states the additional honor they shall have in their ultimate abode of the hereafter when the angels emerge from each of its stores, greeting them with salam and telling them that their sabr brings to them eternal security from all hardships, and that they can themselves see how good is the ultimate abode of the hereafter.
But those who break the covenant of Allah after contracting it, and sever that which Allah has ordered to be joined, and spread corruption on earth, for them is the curse, and they will have the worst home.
Commentary. At the beginning of this section, human beings were divided into 2 kinds: those who are obedient to Allah Ta'ala, and those who are disobedient to Him. Then, enumerated, there were some attributes and signs of the obedient servants of Allah, and mention was made of the best of rewards for them in the hereafter. Now in the present verses stated there are the attributes and signs and punishments of the other kind of people. One trait of character these disobedient and contumacious people have been reported to have, and those who break their pledge with Allah after it has been made binding. Included here is the pledge out of the pledges given to Allah concerning His unshared lordship and oneness by all spirits created by Him. The disbelievers and polytheists broke this pledge when they came into this world, and consequently took to hundreds and thousands of lords and objects of worship, all joined up with the pristine divinity of Allah Ta'ala. And also included here are all pledges, faithfulness to which becomes binding on human beings as part of the great pledge of, there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah. The reason is that the kalimat tayyiba, that is, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, is indeed the symbol of a great pledge under which fall the obedience to all injunctions and rules of conduct taught by Allah Ta'ala and His messenger, and it also covers the pledge to abstain from things which have been prohibited. Therefore, when a human being deviates from any injunction made binding by Allah or deviates from the command given by His messenger, he or she commits a breach of trust by breaking this pledge to faith. The second trait of these disobedient people has been identified as, and cut off relations Allah has commanded to be joined. Included here is the relationship human beings have with Allah Ta'ala and His messenger, may peace be upon him, and the blessings of Allah. The cutting of this relationship simply means the contravention of their commands. And of course, included here are connections based on relationships, the maintenance of which and the fulfillment of whose rights has been stressed upon time and again in the Holy Qur'an. Those who disobey Allah Ta'ala would not hesitate in sundering even these relations and rights built around them. For instance, they would not fulfill the rights of their mother, father, brother, sister, neighbor, and others in that category, while they are rights which must be fulfilled by all human beings as commanded by Allah Ta'ala and His messenger. The third trait of such people has been stated as, and make mischief on the earth. This third trait is actually the outcome of the first two, that is, they disregard pledges given, whether given to Allah or to His servants, just have no consideration of anyone's rights or relationships. It is obvious that such deeds of these people will cause pain and loss to others, even become the cause of mutual fighting and killing. This is the worst facet or disorder or mischief they inflict on this earth. After having described these three traits of the disobedient and contumacious people, the punishment identified for them is, those are the ones for whom there is the curse, and for them there is the evil abode. The word al-lana, translated here as curse, means to be removed far away from the mercy of Allah and become deprived of it. And it goes without saying that being far removed from His mercy is the most punishing of all punishments, and certainly the hardest of all hardships. Injunctions and rules of guidance. Special injunctions and rules of guidance concerning many departments of human life appear in the verses Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 20-24, either explicit or implied. They are as follows: from those who fulfill their pledge with Allah and do not break the covenant. Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 20. It stands established that abiding by a pledge given or contract made with someone is a binding obligation which must be fulfilled, and any contravention of which is haram, forbidden, unlawful, whether that pledge be related to Allah and His Messenger as the pledge of faith and the pledge to maintain relationships with those created by Allah, or it may be a pledge related to any Muslim or Kafir. Pledge breaking is haram under all conditions. From and those who maintain the relations Allah has commanded to be maintained, we learn that Islam does not teach abandonment of relationships in some monastic manner. Instead of that, maintaining necessary relations and fulfilling their due rights has been made necessary in Islam. As for the rights of parents, children, wife, sisters, brothers, and the rights of other relatives and neighbors, these have been made obligatory by Allah Ta'ala on every human being. They cannot be ignored in favor of voluntary acts of worship, not even to devote time for some religious service needed by the community. This is not permissible. How could it become permissible to forget them and get busy doing other things? As for maintaining the bonds of family relationships, taking care of them, and fulfilling their due rights, these have been stressed upon in many verses of the Holy Qur'an. In a hadith of Al-Bukhari and Muslim based on a narration of Sayyidina Anas, may Allah be pleased with him, it has been reported that the Holy Prophet said, "A person who hopes to have extended means of living and barakah and things done must maintain relations, silat rahim." It simply means that one should take care of those he is closely related with and help and support them within personal capability. And Sayyidina Abu al-Ansari, may Allah be pleased with him, says the rustic Arab villager called upon the Holy Prophet at his home and asked him, "Just tell me, what should I do to come closer to paradise and stay away from hell?" He said, "Worship Allah. Take no partners with Him. Establish Salah."
Allah extends provision for whom He wills and restricts it, and they rejoice in the worldly life, while the worldly life is not, compared to the hereafter, except brief enjoyment.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 25 for the Tafsir.
And those who disbelieved say, "Why has a sign not been sent down to him from his Lord?" Say, O Muhammad, indeed, Allah leaves astray whom He wills, and guides to Himself whoever turns back to Him.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 25 for the Tafsir.
Those who have believed and whose hearts are assured by the remembrance of Allah, unquestionably, by the remembrance of Allah, hearts are assured.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 25 for the Tafsir.
Those who have believed and done righteous deeds, a good state is theirs and a good return.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 25 for the Tafsir.
Thus have we sent you to a community before which others' communities have passed on, so we might recite to them that which we revealed to you, while they disbelieve in the Most Merciful. Say, He is my Lord. There is no deity except Him. Upon Him I rely, and to Him is my return.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 25 for the Tafsir.
And if there was any Quran by which the mountains would be removed, or the earth would be broken apart, or the dead would be made to speak, it would be this Quran. But to Allah belongs the affair entirely. Then have those who believed not accepted that had Allah willed? He would have guided the people, all of them. And those who disbelieve do not cease to be struck for what they have done by calamity, or it will descend near their home until there comes the promise of Allah. Indeed, Allah does not fail in His promise.
Commentary. Clear proofs of Islam being the true religion and the Holy Prophet being the true Prophet were there before the disbelievers of Makkah. They could see the signs from every department of his life and from his many miracles openly and comprehensively. The chief of the disbelievers, Abu Jahl, had already declared that they stood in competition with the tribe of Banu Hashim. How could they ever accept their superiority in a matter so crucial that the messenger of Allah had to rise from among them? So let them say what they have to say, and let them show whatever signs they must show. As for them, they were not going to believe in him under any condition whatsoever. Therefore, bent on confrontation, they lost no opportunity to display their obstinacy, asking absurd questions and making unreasonable demands. The present verses, too, have been revealed in response to a question asked by Abu Jahl and his accomplices. According to Tafsir al-Maarif-ul-Qur'an, once the disbelievers of Makkah, Abu Jahl ibn Hisham and Abdullah ibn Umayyah among them, came to the Bayt and sat down on its rear side. They sent a letter to the Holy Prophet with some demands. He said to him, "If you want that your people and all of us accept you as a messenger of Allah and follow you, then we have some demands. Fulfill them through your Qur'an and we all shall embrace Islam." One of the demands was that the land of Makkah was too short on space, that they have a long stretch of land surrounded by mountains on all sides, in which there is no room for cultivation and farming and no place to grow fruits or provide other needs. So they asked him, "You move these mountains farther away through your miracles so that the land area of Makkah becomes more extensive." Reminding him of his own saying, they said that mountains were subjugated for Say ibn Dawud when he recited the praises of Allah. The mountains did the same with him. And they reminded him again that he was no less a person than Say ibn Dawud in the sight of Allah. The second demand they put forward was that the way Allah Ta'ala had subjugated the wind for Sayyid ibn Suleiman as he himself had told them, and had thereby reduced great distances on the earth into brief spans, so they demanded that he too should do the same for them so that their travels to Syria and Yemen become easy on them. Their third demand was that the way Say ibn Isa made the dead come alive, he too should do that for them. Since he was for them no less than him, let him bring their forefather, Qusay, back to life so that they could ask him whether or not this religion brought by the Arab prophet was true. Majari, with reference to al-Bayhawi and Ibn Abi Uwadim and Ibn Marjuway, the hostile demands mentioned in the verses cited above were answered in the following words: "And even if there were a Qur'an wherewith mountains could be moved, or the earth could be split apart, or wherewith the dead are spoken to, they would not believe, but all the judgments are of Allah." Lexically, the expression refers to the moving of mountains from their place, and signifies the traversing of long distances in a short time, and denotes talking to the dead after they have been brought back to life. As for the principal clause of the conditional clause beginning with the word if, it stands understood under the necessity of the textual situation, that is, they would not believe. The nature of this complement is the same as specifically mentioned in another place in the Holy Qur'an while dealing with a similar subject. There it was said, Surah Al-An'am 111. It means that, even if these demands were to be met through the Qur'an as a miracle, they were still not going to believe because they have already seen such miracles before their present demands, miracles which are far more impressive than what they want now. The splitting of the moon in two at the hands of the Holy Prophet is far more miraculous than mountains moving away from their place, or the subjugation of the wind. Similarly, the talking of inert pebbles in his blessed hands, and the recitation of praises for Allah is certainly far greater a miracle than the talking of a dead person brought back to life. During the night of the ascent, Al-Mi'raj, the journey to Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, Jerusalem, and then onwards from there, the journey through the heavens, and then the return back to Makkah in a very short span of time is indeed far more striking than the miraculous subjugation of the wind and the throne of Sulaim. But these arrogant people, despite having seen all this with their own eyes, did not believe. And when they acted in that unreasonable manner, it is obvious that their demands tell on their intention, which is no more than a device to gain time. They have to accept nothing, and they have to do nothing. Since the objective behind these demands made by the disbelievers was to reach a stage when their demands will not be fulfilled, whereupon they will have a good occasion to say that, Ma'at Allah, these are things Allah Ta'ala himself has no control over. Or maybe the request made by the Holy Prophet has no effect, and that it is either not heard by Allah, or is not accepted by him, which gives the impression that he is no messenger of Allah. After that, it was said, but all the judgments are of Allah. It means that power, choice and control, all of it belongs to Allah, which strongly suggests that not fulfilling the demands made is not because they are beyond the power and control of Allah Ta'ala. Instead, the truth of the matter is that He alone is the one who knows the considerations and expediencies which go into the working of this universe. It was in His ultimate wisdom that He did not consider it appropriate to fulfill these demands because He knows the doggedness and ill intention of the makers of the demands. He knows that, should all demands made by them were to be fulfilled, they would still not believe. Now said in the third sentence of verse Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 31 was, are the believers not aware that if Allah wills, He would bring all the people to the right path? Commenting on this statement, Imam al-Baghawi has reported that the noble Sahaba, may Allah be pleased with him, when they heard these demands of the disbelievers, started nursing the thought that it would be better if these demands were fulfilled, for, by doing so, all Meccans will become Muslims and Islam itself would move to a position of greater strength. Thereupon, the present verse was revealed. It means, is it that believing Muslims, despite seeing and knowing the habit of excuse seeking and hostile argumentations practiced by the disbelievers, have not yet lost hope in their potential to enter the fold of faith? If not, why would they start indulging in such wishes and hopes while they also know that, had Allah Ta'ala so willed, He would have Himself given to all human beings such guidance as would have left for them no choice but to become Muslims? But His wisdom did not stipulate that everyone should be compelled to enter the fold of Islam and Iman, faith. In fact, the very wisdom was to let everyone have his or her choice and opt for Islam or Kufr, disbelief, on the basis of that personal choice. Said in the fourth sentence of verse Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 31 was, and the disbelievers shall keep receiving disaster for what they did, or it will visit somewhere close to their homes. According to Sayyidina Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, the word karya means disaster, hardship or calamity. The sense of the verse is that the demands of these disbelievers were not acceded to as their ill intention and doggedness were already known, that is, even if these demands were fulfilled, they would still not believe. In the sight of Allah, these people deserve nothing less than that disasters keep coming upon them in this mortal world as well, as it happened with the people of Makkah, who were either hit by famine, or had the misfortune of being killed or caught during the Islamic battles of Badr and Uhud, or had someone struck by lightning, or yet another became a victim of some calamity. Then the statement, or it will visit somewhere close to their homes, means that there will be times and occasions when the disaster will not hit them directly. Rather, it would come upon habitations close to them. The purpose would be to teach them a lesson and help them see their own evil end in the backdrop of a vicinity close by. Verse Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 31 concludes with the statement, until Allah's promise comes to pass. Surely Allah does not back out on His promise. It means that this cycle of disasters will continue until such time that the promise of Allah stands fulfilled, because the promise of Allah can never go unfulfilled. The promise referred to here is the promise of the conquest of Makkah. The sense is that different kinds of disasters will keep visiting these people until comes the time when Makkah al-Mukarramah will be finally conquered and all antagonists will stand subdued. Before we part with the subject, let us go back to the statement, where it will visit somewhere close to their homes, which tells us that a disaster or calamity or punishment which visits the environs of a people has a concealed wise consideration of Allah Ta'ala behind it. The message it delivers is that people living nearby should stand warned, learn from what happened to others, and thereby correct their own doings. If taken seriously, what came as punishment for others could become a message of mercy for them. Otherwise, a day will come when they too will end up the way others did under their eyes. Today, in our countries and in areas close to them, we keep hearing of different kinds of calamities hitting some community or locality almost every day. There are floods, cyclones, earthquakes, or some other punishing disasters. According to this statement of the Quran, these are not simply punishments meted out to such localities and communities. In fact, they also serve as warnings to people living in surrounding areas. In old days, though awareness through the arts and sciences was not so spick and span, but people did have the fear of Allah in their hearts. If some disaster of this nature struck a place, the people who lived there and even those who lived in adjoining areas would get alarmed and frightened. In that state, they would turn to Allah Ta'ala, repent from their sins, seek forgiveness from Him, and take the giving of charity, tzedakah, at a time like this a source of salvation. And they could see with their own eyes that their difficulties stood removed very easily by doing so. Here we are in our day, so heedless that, even at a time so terrible, we seem to remember everything except Allah. When we do that, we become very much like the general run of none, Muslims are eyes get fixed on material means only, turning for help to the causer of all causes, the musibable asbab, even at such a crucial time, is something very few people have the tawfiq of doing. It is the direct result of this failing that the world always keeps experiencing unwelcome happenings of this nature. Given below are some additional comments on the last sentence of verse Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 31, explained a little earlier. There it was said, until Allah's promise comes to pass. Surely Allah does not back out on His promise as explained earlier. Wa'da or promise at this place means the conquest of Makkah, a promise Allah Ta'ala had made to the Holy Prophet. The sense of the verse thus comes to be that Makkah will be conquered ultimately, and the disbelievers will be destroyed, subdued and overpowered. Now before that comes to be, let them taste a little punishment as well for their crimes before that happens. And it is also possible that the expression, the promise of Allah, refers to the day of judgment at this place, a promise which has been made to all prophets and has been made since ever. So on that date particularly, every disbelieving criminal will receive the full punishment for his or her doings. The hostile questions asked by the disbelievers, and the obstinacy shown by them as described in the event mentioned above pose the problem that these may cause pain to the Holy Prophet therefore, in the next verse.
And already were other messengers ridiculed before you, and I extended the time of those who disbelieved. Then I seized them, and how terrible was my penalty.
It was said to comfort him, and messengers had been mocked at before you. So I let the disbelievers go on for a while. Then I seized them. So how was my punishment? In other words, it means that conditions faced by the Holy Prophet were not faced by him alone. There were prophets before him who had been facing similar conditions when their deniers were not seized immediately upon the commitment of their crime, and they continued to make fun of the prophets. When they reached the limit, they were seized by divine punishment, and what a seizure that was which left none of them active enough to go on with their confrontation.
Then is he who is a maintainer of every soul, knowing what it has earned, like any other? But to Allah they have attributed partners. Say, name them. Or do you inform him of that which he knows not upon the earth, or of what is apparent of speech? Rather, their own plan has been made attractive to those who disbelieve, and they have been averted from the way. And whomever Allah leaves astray, there will be for him no guide.
In the verse is then He who is watchful over everyone. The ignorance and irrationality of the disbelievers has been exposed by saying that these people are certainly short on sense when they equate inert idols with His pure being, a being that watches everyone and is the ultimate reckoner of everyone's deeds. Then it was said that the real reason behind their unreasonable attitude is that Shaitan has made their very ignorance look good in their sight, and therefore this they take to be achievement and success.
For them will be punishment in the life of this world, and the punishment of the hereafter is more severe, and they will not have from Allah any protector.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 33 for the Tafsir.
The example of paradise, which the righteous have been promised, is that beneath it rivers flow. Its fruit is lasting and its shade. That is the consequence for the righteous, and the consequence for the disbelievers is the fire.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 33 for the Tafsir.
And the believers among those to whom we have given the previous scripture rejoice at what has been revealed to you, O Muhammad. But among the opposing factions are those who deny part of it. Say, I have only been commanded to worship Allah and not associate anything with Him. To Him I invite, and to Him is my return.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 33 for the Tafsir.
And thus we have revealed it as an Arabic legislation. And if you should follow their inclinations after what has come to you of knowledge, you would not have against Allah any ally or any protector.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 33 for the Tafsir.
And we have already sent messengers before you and assigned to them wives and descendants. And it was not for a messenger to come with a sign except by permission of Allah, for every term is a decree.
Commentary. Common thinking of disbelievers and polytheists about a prophet and messenger was that he should be from a species other than human, such as a creation like angels, so that their supremacy over the general run of human beings becomes clearly pronounced. The Holy Qur'an has refuted this false idea of theirs in many verses by saying that they had simply failed to realize the reality and wisdom behind the sending of prophets and messengers. Therefore, they went about pursuing such ideas. The reason is that a messenger is sent by Allah Ta'ala as a model in order that communities of human beings follow them and learn deeds and morals similar to theirs. And it is obvious that whoever is human can only follow the fellow human being. For him to follow someone who does not belong to his species is impossible. For example, take an angel. He has no hunger or thirst or desires, neither does he sleep or get tired. Now, if human beings were commanded to follow them as a model, they would have more trouble on their hands than they could handle in terms of their capability. The same objection of the polytheists showed up here, especially so because of the marriages of the Holy Prophet. An answer to this was given in initial sentences of the first verse Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 38, by asking them, "How can you consider a person who marries once, or more than once, and has a family and children, as not being fit or being contrary to the station of prophethood or messengership? What proof do you have for such an assertion? In fact, it has always been the blessed practice of Allah Ta'ala that He makes His prophets masters of a household. Prophets who have passed earlier, and you too believe in the prophethood of some of them, had wives and children. The idea that this way of life is something contrary to being a prophet or messenger of Allah, or against the norms of piety or sainthood, is plain ignorance. As it appears in the Sahih of Al-Bukhari in Muslim, the Holy Prophet said, "I too keep fast, and I too break it. That is, it is not that I always keep fasting." And he said, "I too sleep during nights and rise up too for prayers. That is, it is not that I do nothing but keep praying all night, and I eat meat too, and I marry too." Whoever finds this practice of mine objectionable, he is not a Muslim, and it is not for a messenger to bring a sign without the will of Allah. Out of the hostile questions the disbelievers and polytheists had always been asking the blessed prophets, and were asked of the Holy Prophet too by the polytheists of his time too, are fairly common. The first question envisaged that the injunctions revealed in the Book of Allah should be in accordance with their wishes. For instance, this request of theirs appears in Surah Yunus, Ayah 15, that is, "Bring to us a Qur'an other than this, which does not prohibit the worship of our idols or change it, that is, you yourself change the injunctions brought by it, replacing punishment with mercy and unlawful with lawful." Now take their second demand. Despite having seen open miracles of the blessed prophets, may peace be upon them, they still insisted that ever new miracles be shown to them. "If you show us this or that miracle, then," they would say, "we may consider becoming Muslims." The word ayah used in this sentence of the Qur'an, which lexically means signs, could be taken in both the two senses it has, because in the terminology of the Qur'an, the verses of the Qur'an are also called ayat, and the same word means a miracle. Therefore, in their explanation of this verse, some commentators have, by taking this word in the sense of the verse of the Qur'an, explained it by saying that no prophet has the authority or choice to introduce a verse on his own in his book. And some others, by taking this word, ayah, in the sense of a miracle, have held that it means that Allah has not given any messenger or prophet the authority or choice to show a miracle when He chooses or as He chooses it to be. It is said in Tafsir of Maarif-ul-Qur'an that based on the rule of Imam al-Majh, as both meanings could be taken and both explanations could be correct. Given this analysis, the gist of the sense carried by the verse is that demanding our prophet to change the verses of the Qur'an is misplaced and wrong. We have not given such a right to any messenger. Similar is the case with the demand that he shows to them the particular miracle as identified by them. This too is a proof of their being ignorant of the reality of prophethood, because it is not within the control of a prophet or messenger that he could go ahead on his own and show a miracle as they demand according to their whim. In the last sentence of verse Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 38, it was said, "For every time there is something prescribed." The word ajal is used in the sense of a time frame for everything, and kitab here carries the sense of a verbal noun, that is, written or prescribed. The statement means that the time and quantum of everything stands prescribed with Allah Ta'ala. He has prescribed in eternity that such and such person shall be born at such and such time, and shall live for so many days, what places he shall go to, what shall be his life work, and when and where he shall die. Similarly, it is also prescribed that during such and such time what revelations and injunctions will be sent to such and such prophet, because the very process of the coming of injunctions as appropriate to every time and every people is required by reason and justice. And also prescribed is that such and such miracle shall manifest itself at the hands of such and such prophet at such and such time. Therefore, asking the Holy Prophet to insert particular kinds of injunctions into the Quran as proposed by them, or asking him to show a particular miracle on request is a hostile and wrongful demand, which is based on an absence of awareness of the reality of messengership and prophethood.
Allah eliminates what He wills or confirms, and with Him is the mother of the book.
Said in the next verse, Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah 39 was, Allah wipes off what He wills and affirms what He wills, and with Him is the mother book. The translation of Kitab as mother book reflects a word-for-word replacement possible at this place, which also exudes its applied sense in some measure, though not as clearly as given in the Tafsir immediately after the literal meaning of al-Kit is the original book. The reference here is to the preserved tablet, al-Lawh al-Mahfuz al, in which there can be no change or alteration. The sense of the verse is that Allah Ta'ala, in His most perfect power and wisdom, obliterates what He wills and affirms what He wills. And after this obliteration and affirmation, whatever there stays preserved with Allah Ta'ala. No one has access to it, nor can there be any deletion in addition into it. Leading authorities in Tafsir, Sayyidina Said ibn Jubair, may Allah be pleased with him, and Qatadah and others have declared that this verse too is related with the obliteration and affirmation of injunctions and religious codes, that is, with the problem of naskh or abrogation. As for the sense of the verse, they say that in the books which Allah Ta'ala sends to different people through different messengers, and outline in which are religious laws, obligations, and duties, it is not necessary that all injunctions contained therein be eternal and last forever. In fact, it is in fitness with conditions prevailing among peoples and the change in times that Allah, in His wisdom, abrogates or repeals whichever injunction He wills, and affirms and retains whichever He wills. Then the original book is preserved with Him after all. It is already written there that such and such injunction, sent down for such and such people, is for a particular period of time, or is based on particular conditions. When that term expires, or those conditions change, this injunction will also change. In this original book, that term and that appointed time stands recorded with full and authentic determination. Also entered there is the description of the injunction which will replace the one changed. This eliminates the doubt that divine injunctions should never be abrogated, because enforcing an injunction and then abrogating it indicates that the enforcer of the injunction did not have a correct perception of conditions. Therefore, it was after having seen conditions that it had to be abrogated. And it is obvious that the majesty of Allah Ta'ala is beyond the possibility that something be outside the realm of His knowledge. Since this stipulation tells us that the injunction which is abrogated exists in the knowledge of Allah Ta'ala beforehand, that is, the injunction has been promulgated only for a specified period of time, and will be changed later. This is similar to what a physician does in our world of experience. He examines a patient, looks at the symptoms of what he is ailing from, then prescribes a medicine relevant to the current condition he is in. And he knows the effect the medicine is going to bring forth, and after which the particular medicine would have to be changed and the patient would have to be given another medicine of another description. To sum up, it can now be said that, according to this tafsir, the phenomena of obliteration and affirmation, muwa and ithbat, means the abrogation, naskh, of injunctions and its affirmation and continuity. As based on the view of Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, a group of leading commentators, Sufyan al-Thawri, Waqi and others, have reported another tafsir of this verse where the subject of the verse has been determined as concerning the decree of destiny. And the meaning of the verse has been explained by saying that, according to the explicit statements of the Qur'an and Hadith, the destinies of the creations of Allah, including the sustenance received by every person during his entire years of life, and the comfort and distress faced along the line, and their respective magnitudes, are written since Azal, even before the creation of His creatures. Then, at the time of the birth of a child, the angels too are asked to keep it committed to writing. And every year, in the Laylatul Qadr, the night of power, a full roster of what is supposed to happen during the course of that year is handed over to the angels. In short, the age of every created individual, his or her sustenance, times of movement, and periods of rest are all determined and written. But from this decree of destiny, Allah Ta'ala wipes off or obliterates what He wills and affirms or retains what He wills. However, the statement, and with Him is the mother book, means that the original book, according to which, after the process of obliteration and affirmation, ultimate action shall be taken, is with Allah. In this, there can be no change or alteration. This has been elaborated in many authentic ahadith which tell us that there are some amal, deeds which cause a person's age and sustenance to increase. Some make them decrease. It appears in the Sahih al-Bukhari that maintaining relations which must be maintained, Sila ar-Rahim, becomes the cause of increase in one's age. A narration in the Musnad of Ahmad reports that there are occasions when one commits some such sin that as leads to his being deprived of sustenance, and by serving and obeying one's parents, years of life increase, and nothing except dua, prayer, can avert what is divinely destined. What we find out from all these narrations is that the age, the sustenance, and things like that which Allah Ta'ala has written into someone's destiny can become more or less because of some deeds and also because of due, prayer, takdir, destiny, can be changed. This is the subject dealt with in this verse. It says that the change or alteration in age or sustenance or hardship or ease in life is written in the book of destiny, which takes place because of some deed, oral, or prayer. Dua means the book of destiny which is in the hands of the angels, or in their knowledge. There are times when some decisions of this type of destiny are contingent on some particular condition. When that condition is not found, that decision does not take effect. Then this condition is sometimes in writing and in the knowledge of angels, but there are times when this is not written but exists in the knowledge of Allah Ta'ala alone. When that decision changes, everyone is left wondering. A destiny of this nature is called conditional or contingent, mu'allaq, in which, as explicitly stated in this verse, the process of obliteration and assertion keeps operating. But the last sentence of the verse, that is, with him is the original book, means that above this conditional destiny, taqdir malak, there is the final indefinite destiny, taqdir mubram, which is with Allah Ta'ala written in the original book. And that is the exclusive domain of divine knowledge. Written there are the decisions, injunctions, and commands which issue forth as the final outcome after the conditions of deeds have been fulfilled or due has been answered. Therefore, that is totally free of obliteration and assertion and addition and deletion. Ibn Kathir.
And whether we show you part of what we promised them or take you in death, upon you is only the duty of notification, and upon us is the account.
In verse, and if we show you some of what we promised them, or we take you back to us, it is to comfort and assure the Holy Prophet that he has been given the good news that the promises Allah has made to him that Islam will have the final victory and disbelief and disbelievers will be disgraced shall come to pass definitely. But he is told, you should not concern yourself as to when this victory will finally come. Maybe this happens within his lifetime, and it is also possible that it comes after his departure from this mortal world. For your peace of heart, even this much is enough that you are continuously witnessing that we are causing the lands of the disbelievers to keep being sliced off their sides, that is, these sides pass on under Muslim control whereby the land occupied by them keeps reducing in area. This causes well-being for Muslims, and a day will come when the final phase of their victory shall stand completed. The command is in the very hands of Allah Ta'ala. There is no one who can avert this command, and he is the one swift at reckoning.
Have they not seen that we set upon the land, reducing it from its borders? And Allah decides. There is no adjuster of His decision, and He is swift in account.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 40 for the Tafsir.
And those before them had plotted, but to Allah belongs the plan entirely. He knows what every soul earns, and the disbelievers will know for whom is the final home.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 40 for the Tafsir.
And those who have disbelieved say, You are not a messenger. Say, O Muhammad, sufficient is Allah as witness between me and you, and the witness of whoever has knowledge of the scripture.
See Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayah 40 for the Tafsir.